Hello grade 8s, and now after multiplying we're moving on to dividing of fractions. Now dividing and multiplying are actually close to each other or related in a way, because what we actually do is take a divide question and turn it into a multiply question. It's kind of a bit like when we were subtracting integers. We turned that into an adding integers question, right? By adding the opposite. Now we're not using opposites here. We're using something called the reciprocal. And the reciprocal is an inverted. Now inverted also means flipped. So we're going to invert or flip a fraction. So to invert or flip a fraction that is just a plain fraction, we just simply move the top to the bottom and the bottom to the top. So this would become 3 over 2. If it is a mixed number like this one, you can't just flip the fraction. You have to get rid of the whole number first. So convert it to its improper. So 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 7. So that equals 7 over 5. Once we've got the improper, then we can invert or flip it. You cannot just flip the 5 over the 5 and the 2. So now the 7 is going to the bottom and the 5 is going to the top. Okay? So that's really important to remember. Get rid of the whole number first before you invert. Okay, so what are we doing? When we multiply fractions, when we divide fractions, just like any other, the mixed numbers have to go to improper. Then what do? We change this question to a multiply. So you're just going to rewrite it and remove the divide symbol and write a multiply. Then you're going to flip the second fraction. We often refer to this as multiplying the reciprocal because there's the multiply and then we flip, which is the reciprocal. Okay? Now what do we have? We have a multiply fraction. So, just like multiplies, we're going to reduce by dividing a top and a bottom. Once we've done all the reducing that we can, we're going to multiply tops and multiply bottoms. Then you're going to look at your answer. If it's improper, you're going to go back to mixed. You should be finished there. But again, just like multiplying, when you divide, if you don't do all your reducing here, you're going to have to do reducing at the end. Okay? If you do it all in step 3, you won't have to do step 7. All right, let's look at our first question. Okay? So, no whole number to get rid of. So step 2 says to turn that into a multiply, and then we're going to flip the second fraction. Okay, so this becomes 2 over 3. The first fraction stays as it is, 6 over 7. Now we're looking to see, can we reduce? Well, 6 and 3 reduce by dividing by 3. So 3 divides by 3 to become a 1, and 6 divides by 3 to become a 2. Now, some students still make mistakes by going 2 and 2 can reduce, but those are 2 tops. You can't reduce 2 tops. It has to be a top and a bottom. So we look at the 7. 7 and 2 can't reduce, so we're done all the reducing we can. Once we've reduced as far as we can, we're going to multiply the tops. So 2 times 2 gives us 4 at the top, and 7 times 1 gives us 7 at the bottom. Now, look at that. It is not improper because 4 is smaller than 7, so we don't have to convert it to mixed, and we've reduced it as much as we can, so that in fact is our final answer. Okay, let's look at a second number, or second question. Now, this is a whole number. It needs to be turned into a fraction before we can do anything. Remember, whole numbers become fractions by putting it over 1. So turn it into its improper form first, right? We have to get rid of whole numbers. Now, the next step, once we've got rid of the whole numbers, is to turn it into a multiply and flip. right? So this becomes a multiply, and the 6 goes to the bottom, and the 1 goes to the top. The first fraction stays the same at 9/20. Now we're looking to see, can we reduce? Well, 1 doesn't reduce, so you have to look at the 9. 9 and 6 both divide by 3. So 9 divides by 3 to become 3. 6 divides by 3 to become 2. Again, 2 and 20 can reduce, but they're both bottoms, so we're not going to reduce those, only a top and a bottom. So now we multiply what's left. So 3 times 1 gives us 3 at the top, and 20 times 2 gives us 40 at the bottom. It's not improper, so we don't turn it into mixed, and it's reduced as far as it can go, so there's our final answer. All right, example 3. Now we're looking at mixed numbers. So the first step is we must get rid of the whole numbers. So 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21/4. Right? Convert the next one. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7/2. This is still a divide question right now. All we've done is get rid of the whole numbers by going to improper. The next step then is to turn that divide into a multiply and flip the second fraction. So this is going to be 2/7 now. The first fraction stays the same at 21/4. Now look to see what can reduce. Well, I'm thinking 2 and 4 you recognize as being able to reduce. They both divide by 2. So I'll cross out the 2 and it becomes a 1. Cross out the 4 and it becomes a 2. Now 21 and 7 actually reduce, right? 7 is a prime number. It only divides by 7, but so does 21 divide by 7. So 7 divided by 7 is 1, and 21 divided by 7 is 3. So now we need to multiply what's left. 3 times 1 at the top gives us 3. 2 times 1 at the bottom gives us 2. Now that's improper because 3 is bigger than 2. So 2 goes into 3 once. That becomes our whole number. And then 2 times 1 gives us 2. We have 3, so there's 1 left over on top of our same denominator. So we convert this improper to a mixed number. Now, again, we could have more than one divide in a question. Okay, so on a question like this, we need to get rid of whole numbers first. So 6 times 3 is 18, plus 2 is 20/3. 5 is a whole number. We need to turn it into a fraction by putting it over 1. So that now becomes 5/1. That's still a divide. All we're doing is getting rid of the whole numbers. Now, no whole number there, so I just copied it down. So we have 2 divides. That has to be turned into a multiply, and then the fraction that follows it flips. So that's going to become 1/5. This divide has to be turned into a multiply, and then we have to flip the fraction that follows it as well. So that's going to be 9/4. The first fraction stays the same at 20/3. Now we're looking to reduce. So I'm hoping that you recognize 3 and 9 reduce. They both divide by 3. 3 divides by 3 to become 1. 9 divides by 3 to become 3. I'm hoping you recognize 20 and 5 divide by 5. So 5 divides by 5 to become 1. 20 divides by 5 to become 4. Now, look at what's left. We have, a 4 at the bottom and a 4 at the top here. Same number, so again, they can divide by themselves. So 4 can divide by 4. I'll use a different color here. And this 4 on the bottom can divide by 4. So 4 divides by 4 to become 1, and that 4 divides by 4 to become 1. And now we've got all 1s at the bottom, so we know once we get 1s, we can relax, and it's as low as it goes. So multiply the top. 1 times 1 is 1 times 3 is 3. And 1 times 1 times 1 gives us 1 at the bottom. Again, it's an improper, so we need to go back and figure out how many times 1 will go into 3. Well, it goes 3 times with none left over. So there's our final answer of 3. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the biggest mistake students make is that they don't go to get rid of the whole number first before they flip it, right? They flip first and then they start making mistakes. Okay, take your time and reduce thoroughly. Take care. See you soon.